that is not real or genuine?
I think fake news means something is not true.
Fake news, in my opinion, is any news that's false, and I started hearing about it in the 2016 election. I think that Donald Trump used to use that phrase a lot, and it's just more or less stuck around.
So fake news is about generating news unofficially. That is the normal social media users generating news that is not authentic, just to create panic or to draw attention to themselves.
Fake news is an information that is out there that is false, not true, and probably people tend not to validate it.
Fake news is a cooked information by somebody to just bring it to the public without any authentic source.
Fake news is not really news. It's disinformation that's channeled through the local media, but also national media and traditional media channels, but also via social media. And usually it's with the intention to confuse the public or with the intention to mislead them. Sometimes to gain something, but also to damage someone's reputation, such as the reputation of a politician.
Basically, I think something that is not true. It is not news, so we don't even have to call it news. It's a concoction.
What I do is I try to copy excerpts of it if it's in text and Google it to see if I'll find it being reported by different websites. If I do that and I don't find more information on it, I don't consider it as reliable. And even with reliability, I look at the website that is found. Do they report on issues related to that? If they do, then I consider it as valid. But if not, I don't work with such information.
Sometimes when you see the news, you can basically tell that this thing has been framed up.
As a reader, it's very important to first of all check the source, whether it's a trustworthy one, and if it is, then I think you should still be critical. For example, if it's something that's very controversial, you could check other sources and to see if other sources confirm the same news. Just to make sure that you have a clear image of the news.
To know whether an information is fake or authentic, you have to check the source first of all, and sometimes to how the news itself is structured. People who bring out authentic news normally take time to make sure the news meets various standards before it comes out. So normally fake news would come and then maybe we'll have lots of grammatical errors that will tell you that it's not authentic or it has not taken much work to produce.
Yeah, normally when they put the news there, they don't bring the source where you can go and check it for yourself. It has no link and all that, and that should tell you. And sometimes if you are abreast with the information, it enables you to know whether this news is fake or genuine.
When I see messages like that, I read through and ignore them.
Usually I like to Google news that I read, so I just Google and see whether the news is being reported by credible sources. And beyond that, I know that there are some websites that are very good for verifying if an information is true or false. I think Sloop is one of them, but there are a lot of websites like that, so that's how I check.
In every society, there are institutions which are mandated to spread information. And it is their duty, first of all, to verify the information before they spread it. Now, if some individual somewhere decides that for whatever reason he wants to spread something, and as a discerning citizen, you find out that this is not coming from any verifiable source, then you should be on the alert that this could be some concoction and not real news to be taken seriously. Most of them find their way on social media because access to social media is unregulated. So social media is a tool that
a lot of people use these days. And all of these people are able to vote. They are part of the electorate. So social media being a place where the electorate can meet and then pass on information quickly, results of elections can be easily influenced, because if any bad information about maybe one political party should go around, it could go viral quickly, and that could change the decision of the people, and then that could change the result of an election. Yeah.
Nowadays, no, we do it. All what we did now is in social media, so it helps us to know the place where your friend or your brother or sister is. You can WhatsApp and tell what you do. You have to come and go. I think it helps a lot.
Social media do have because it's another platform for disseminating information. Politicians can use as a platform to campaign to their supporters.
I do think social media has an important role to play in elections, especially it enables people to express their opinions. At the same time, I do feel like people can express their opinions, but they may not be well informed. And it can also cause other persons to read these messages and to think something that is not actually based on facts. So it's important to distinguish facts from value judgments. And sometimes I think social media makes that a bit more difficult. So it can definitely perform a good function, especially in the elections, but it can also create misinformation, even though it may not be intentional by the person who posted the message.
I would say then that is the end of the world.
I think that it will be the best. Trust me, it will be the best.
I would really upset. From a human rights point of view, I'm not comfortable with the government shutting down my source of information.
It is unacceptable.
It's someone who is afraid and knows that the people are not ready to accept him that would go ahead or her go ahead to block the internet. Because of what essence are you blocking it? Are you trying to hide something?
From my perspective, if there is false information going out there, then government would need to take steps to make sure that relevant information is communicated. And at the same time also, I want to emphasize the fact that shutting down, the internet would mean that people cannot communicate at all about what's happening. And I know in Ghana in particular, one of the ways that we've been checking election malpractices is by communicating it on social media and through the radio. So I would be very upset if that happened.
We have freedom of speech and we have freedom of right. Like, we have our right to also to say what we think or to criticize people and all that. So I think I will feel bad if the internet should be shut down in the name of somebody thinks like I'm not saying something he or she likes, so he's going to shut down the internet. It will be bad and it will be an abuse.
You can't live without internet or Facebook and that social media. So I think it will be better. It's not helpful. I'll feel bad.
I think that would be devastating, especially on the day of the elections or just before. It's very important that people can have access to information. They may want to check the latest news, or they may want to form their opinion if they haven't yet decided what to vote for. And it also, I think it's quite suspicious if the internet is being shut down just before the elections.
Personally, I wouldn't be happy with that, because I like to know what is going on in other places. Yeah, even though the normal media houses are there to give us information, it is always good to hear from your friends on how the election is being experienced at their ends. Yeah, so I wouldn't be happy with that decision, even though they may have their good reasons for it.
We are actually tired with certain news or certain frame-ups that people make to create tension and a whole lot of things, because someday if we don't take care, this social media thing is actually going to bring us a problem in the country, because election, I think, is a very delicate thing that the government has to look at it very well and block certain information that come out. So if you are having the election for 2 days and the internet is going to be closed down, in my view, I think yes, it's not a bad thing at all.
I would advise all African governments to go further, to rather make the internet open so that the world can see how democratic the processes are. Because we are now in a system where anyone can report on issues, share their experiences, first-time voters and others. So imagine I'm a first-time voter. I try to go to the internet to find information on what should inform me to go and vote. And I go on the internet on the day of elections and there's no internet connectivity to allow me to do that. That means I'll be providing biased information or uninformed decisions, which wouldn't be helpful for our continent.
There's no need for them to shut down any news because it helps us a lot. If in case they have any problem with that, maybe you can use Facebook, WhatsApp, this is going on here. Maybe at the time you can't make call unless you WhatsApp the person tell you can hide or you can do this because this is coming on. And I hope it's not good to shut down.
It doesn't speak well of them. I will ask them to allow the people to freely speak their mind. So it's not the proper thing to shut down internet. Nobody gains anything from it.
I think that the government should be firm enough to block that as in when the election is coming up, because I think internet now is creating a lot of problems. So basically, if they do that, I think it will reduce certain things that may come up.
My advice to the government is, when we talk about African country and Ghana per se, we have a long way to go with our internet stuff and work. So I'll advise that internet shutdown in Ghana should not be an idea of we solving an election problem, but rather we should rather educate the public on using it wisely to generate and help the country move forward.
I believe they do it for their good reasons. I mean, if a government looks at the kind of atmosphere that is there during the election and they realize it's hostile and any small interactions can spark violence, they can decide to shut social media down, which is a step in the right direction. But I believe that it also creates that social atmosphere during elections that can also enhance peace. Yeah. So my advice would be for them to look at the system very well and see what goes with their system, and that would be good.
My advice would be that they should work as governments. Their duty is to work on making sure that people have access to credible information. So what they should do, rather than just shutting down the internet, is to work on making information accessible. In Ghana, we've had the Right to Information Bill. How are they making sure that that is being solidified so that people can access information, making sure that people can access the internet as much as possible, so bringing down the cost for the internet so that people can search what they find on the internet. I would prefer that government concentrate on those areas rather than shutting down the internet, because especially of the human rights implications and the implications for emergency situations as well.
That is not the solution. They should take steps to ensure that their citizens are educated enough on how they react to concocted information, and shutting down the internet, to me, breaches the citizens' right to information. Shutting down the internet to avoid the spread of false information would also lead to the deprivation of the people from getting valid information. So judging by or weighing the good against the bad, I think governments should rather take the steps of educating their citizens about false information and not attempt shutting down internet. It is not a solution.
My advice to these governments is, well, first of all, don't shut down the internet. I think it creates a lot of suspicion. And if you want to enable people, your own people, to make informed decisions, it's very important to open the internet and to make available all sources of information.